Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Tomorrow is the beginning of May, and that means Asian Readathon, and I'm very excited for it. And because I finished my magical readathon a day early, I thought we also start the May reading vlog a day early, because last night I already started my first book that I want to read. This one I will probably not talk a lot about here because I will do a separate series reading vlog for this duology, but I started reading She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker-Chan. This is one of the series I want to read this year. I'm quite excited for it. Also a little bit scared, but like I read the first chapter yesterday and it's already very bleak, very sad, but also you can see this like inner strength of our main character. So I'm so intrigued to see where the journey will take us, and yeah, I'm just so happy to start my May TBR, which is very large but also very exciting. So many great books I want to read this month. And then also for my audiobook, I'm currently still reading Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Life Ship Traders trilogy, and this will also be a book I will talk about in a series reading vlog once I have read the whole trilogy. So I have about, I think, 13 hours left of that one, so I hope I will finish it off quite quickly in the first couple of days of May, and then I will be back. I'll let you know which audiobook I will pick up next. So a lot of exciting reading for May that I have planned. I hope you're excited too and have just fun watching this. Someone is hiding out the storm in a very safe place. Oh, my poor baby. So today is the 3rd of May, and last night we had this very bad storm, and as always when the temperature drops so rapidly I have a nice migraine, but it's good. It's better than the last time. The last time I literally couldn't do anything, but this time I'm still functioning. It's just not nice. But I wanted to give you a quick reading update. I haven't read a lot. I thought I would read more, but I did some video filming on our holiday on the 1st, so I have read the first 2 stories in Cursed Bunny. In the first one, we follow a woman who meets a head that is coming out of her toilet, and the head tells her that it is basically made out of everything that she dumps in the toilet, and so she becomes very paranoid about that. And that was definitely quite an interesting story. One of the things it portrays is how the worries of women are not taken seriously, as everyone around her is always telling her to just ignore the head and just be fine with it, and she can't really do that, but nobody is trying to help her. And in the second story, it is kind of similar but different. We have a young woman who starts having her period and it doesn't stop. So at some point she goes to the doctor, and the doctor says she is supposed to take the birth control pill. And so she does that for a couple of months, and then everything seems fine until it's not. And then she finds out that because she took the birth control pill too long, she is now pregnant, but she needs to find a man to be the father because so far this pregnancy is lacking the male side of things. This was also quite an interesting story, and one thing it portrays is the way that there is so much pressure put on mothers, but the father doesn't really have any urgency or any pressure on him to be a father. So I liked the exploration of that in the story. So far, this is definitely quite an interesting collection. It's very much body horror-y so far, very gross, but in a relatable way, you know. So I am liking it. I'm intrigued to see what the next story brings. The next story is the title story, Cursed Bunny. So I will definitely continue reading that. I want to read one story of that every day, and it has 10 stories, so I should be finished in this first half of the vlog. And then for my audiobook, I'm still listening to Ship of Magic. I now have less than 10 hours left, I think. And it's getting harder and harder to listen to because our characters are getting more and more into a pickle, and like horrible things are happening to them. There's a lot of violence. One character loses their finger, another character I think just lost their leg. It's definitely, you know, a very dangerous environment that they're in. And then we have one character who may have ended up as a slave right now, not quite sure, but it is pointing in that direction. So we get a lot of exploration of the horrible treatment of slaves as well in this book. So yeah, it's definitely a jarring read. I can't say that I'm really enjoying my time with it, but I'm still intrigued to see where it goes in the end. And then last but not least, I'm not quite a quarter into She Who Became the Sun. I am enjoying that one as well. I'm struggling a little bit with the time jumps because the first part covers such a large amount of time, so we're jumping around quite a lot, which makes it hard to connect to the characters and really see their growth. And then also where I stopped reading now, we went away from the perspective of our main character. So I'm not quite sure if this is like multiple POV or if this is just a quick diversion. I'm not quite sure. I'm gonna continue reading that for the weekend, and I hope I can make some good progress with that because I have to return it to the library quite soon. So that's how it's going. I'm gonna head to work now, and I'm so looking forward to the weekend. So today is the 6th of May and I have a very quick reading update. First of all, I want to talk to you about Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung because I have read 3 more stories in this collection and I quickly wanted to let you know how it went. Now, the third story is Cursed Bunny, the title story of this collection. And that one I absolutely loved. It is about curses and the effects that they can have, and I thought it was so good. It had such great atmosphere, and so far it's my favorite story in this collection. Then after that we had Frozen Fingers, which honestly I didn't understand. Like, maybe there is some Korean like mythology or folklore that I would need to know to understand. I have realized that I'm not the biggest fan of horror stories that are based on car accidents. Maybe because, for one, I don't drive regularly, so you know, it's not very interesting to me. And then when I drive, obviously I don't want to be in an accident. So I don't know, these stories just never really get to me. And so this one was my least favorite so far. And then we have Snare, which is the 5th story in here. And that one plays around with the idea of these like fox spirits. And I did like that one as well. I think the atmosphere again was quite great, but that one was very bloody, very violent, violence against animals and then also women and children. So definitely be prepared for that story. It was really quite gruesome to read. So yeah, so far the story collection is going really well, and I'll update you when I've read a couple more of these. And then my big update that I have for you, which isn't really big, is that I finished my first book of the month and my first book for the Asian Readathon. I finished She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, and I struggled with this book a tiny little bit at the beginning, but then the rest of the book was so good, like so good. I'm absolutely obsessed. I immediately went and got the sequel because I want to read it immediately. And yeah, I gave it 4.5 stars just because the beginning wasn't my favorite, but I'm very intrigued to see how the story ends in this second book because it is a duology. And it's just so good. If you like ambitious, cunning characters, you have to read this book. It was so fantastic. Like the character dynamics carried this book and I loved it. So I will have a complete reading vlog for this duology where I talk in depth. So we're just gonna leave it at that. Highly recommend this book. And then last but not least, for my audiobook, Ship of Magic, I have 3.5 hours left, so I'm pretty sure I will finish that as well. And I'm definitely ready to be done with it. It is a very long book, and it was funny reading She Who Became the Sun and the Ship of Magic kind of at the same time last week, because She Who Became the Sun has these like super complex, cunning, super smart characters, and it's all like intrigue, which I love. I'm a sucker for that. And then Ship of Magic has all of these characters who have no idea what they're doing. They're just stumbling through the story, always surprised when something has consequences. So it is an interesting contrast, but also these characters are frustrating. They're good, but they're frustrating as hell. So I am kind of ready to be done with this first book in that trilogy, because there is 2 more and they're both very big as well. So I'll update you when that happens. So today is the 8th of May and I wanted to give you a quick reading update. I haven't read too much because the week has been quite busy. I have made a start in He Who Drowned the World and I think I'm about 50 pages in and really enjoying it. These characters are so flawed. It is fantastic. And then I have 1 hour left in my audiobook Ship of Magic, so I hope I will finish that today, because I'm ready to be done with it. It is such a long book. I'm enjoying it, but you know, at some point you want to read something else again. So I'll definitely take a break before I go into the sequel, but I'm also stoked to see how this first book comes to an end now. But what I really wanted to update you on is my short story collection, Cursed Bunny, because I have read 2 more stories. So the first one that I have read is Goodbye My Love, which is a story about androids and artificial intelligence. Honestly, it's just not a topic I'm really interested in when I read horror, so that one didn't quite work for me. I was fine with it. It's just not very interesting to me. And then I skipped over the very long story that is in here. There's one story that is 50 pages, but last night I came home very late from work and so I was feeling a shorter story, so I skipped over the very long one and I read Home Sweet Home. In this story we follow a couple who buy a house and kind of the trouble they have with the house. This one portrayed the way that men can kind of claim the money and the work of women if they're in a partnership, and how they can abuse that and stuff like that. So that was quite interesting. But the horror element of the story was very obvious, I think. So the thing that should have been a bit of a twist at the end wasn't a twist at all, because I thought from the first moment that this would be the twist. So again, not a great story, but one I was fine with. It was interesting. So now I have that very long story left, and then I think one more. No, two more stories, yeah. So I will update you when I have finished this collection, let you know how the last couple of stories went. So today's the 13th of May, and I wanted to give you a quick update. Unfortunately for the weekend I had a migraine again, so I didn't do a lot of reading, which was kind of sad, but I'm slowly getting over it, so we'll see. But I did make progress in some of my books. I did make a little bit of progress in He Who Drowned the World. I'm about a third of the way through that, I think, and I'm still really enjoying it. And I would have liked to make a lot of progress yesterday, but it just didn't happen. Then with my audiobook, The Sea Elephants, I think I'm nearing the halfway point now. And the beginning of this book is definitely very hard to read. It's very sad, very heartbreaking, because we're following this young boy who realizes that he is gay. And because he grows up in India in the 90s, that is not accepted, and we see his struggle against his father and his family in general. There's also a lot of grief in this book because this family has lost two daughters to an accident, and our main character feels guilty for that, even though when you hear the story you can see that it was not his fault, but a lot of people just accept his guilt and just act like it was his fault. And then we also yeah, I see a lot of like homophobia from the family, from other people around our main character that he has to deal with, a lot of body shaming as well. So yeah, it's definitely a very rough start. But then around a third of the way into it, we have that scene where he runs away to join this theater group, which is already mentioned in the description of the book, so I wouldn't say it is a spoiler. And from that point onwards, we see him slowly trying to build relationships. We do have a couple of bigger time jumps in this, which I'm not always a fan of, but I think it does help the story to move along. So yeah, at the point where I'm at right now, we're at the beginning of a love story. So I'm very intrigued to see how that goes. It's like really, they're on their first date right now. And it also has this like found family aspect because of the theater group. So I'm really intrigued to see how the story will progress now, but be warned that the beginning is very rough to read, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for gay people because yeah, it might bring up a lot of like horrible feelings because it is so bleak and sad. And then last but not least, I decided to join a buddy read for Sunbringer this month. So I have started it. I haven't made great progress. I think I'm about 60 pages in, but I also reread the last 30 or so pages in Godkiller because I really couldn't remember the ending so well. And so far, I am enjoying it. I'm glad to be back with these characters. But a lot of the people who are further along with the book in this little reading group say that it is meandering quite a bit and it has second book syndrome. I've heard that quite a lot by now, so my expectations aren't super high for this one, but we'll see. I try to stick with the little read along, but at the same time I'm itching to read more of He Who Drowned the World, and then I just have a very busy week ahead of me, so we'll see where it goes. I will update you at least one more time before we come to the end of the first part of this vlog, and we'll see where I am at that point in time. So today is the 16th of May, and I think I will finish off the vlog right now. The reading is not going well, I must be honest. I read exactly 6 pages yesterday, and the day before that 0, and the day before that 0. So yeah, life is just really busy right now, but I hope we do have a long weekend, so Monday is off, and I hope that then things will pick up, and I think that is a good place to like end this vlog and then hopefully start the next one with a bang. I hope you enjoyed watching this. For a last little update, I'm now more than halfway through my audiobook The Sea Elephants. I'm really enjoying it still. It is quite a sad story in the beginning, and then it gets more hopeful as our main character is meeting more and more people who are supportive of him, but there's always this like underlying anxiety of things going wrong, and I think I might be, just from the name of the chapter I'm in, I might be at a point where things might go wrong. So it is a very interesting reading experience where you definitely root for the main character, and there is a lot of people around him that are supportive and that are great, but at the same time, you know, you can't trust it. You can't trust that this is going to go well because of the like societal circumstances and everything like that. So I would definitely say keep in mind how much like internalized, but then also like from other characters, homophobia there is in this book, and then also it deals quite heavily with the consequences of our main character having been assaulted in the past and how his sexuality is influenced by this experience as well. So it's definitely not a light fluffy read, but I'm really enjoying it and I'm intrigued to see where it goes, and I talk to you more about it in my next vlog. And then for He Who Drowned the World, as I said, I read 6 pages last night, and then with Sunbringer I didn't read anymore, so I definitely need to pick that one back up as well during the weekend. So As I said, I hope you have enjoyed this vlog. If you did, leave a like or a nice comment. I always appreciate those. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye!